We've just learned that Harry has just touched down, and again, Charles, as we've just noted, is recuperating at Clarence House, his kind of London residence, his favoured London residence. We keep being told, it's wrong to speculate, you mustn't speculate, but it is only natural right now. And one of the things that I'm speculating on, and I'm sure others are, is this chronology of just a couple of days ago. Was it Sunday? Was it last night? Who knows? The King rang Harry in California, explained his condition, and Harry dropped everything and got on a plane to come back. Now, given the rift that's been going on between Harry and the rest of the family, we can only conclude that Charles's news must have been serious.
Well, any cancer diagnosis is serious, isn't it? Charles has known the news for a few days now. It was given to him last week when Camilla opened a Maggie's Cancer Care Centre on Friday. She did so in the knowledge that her husband had been diagnosed with cancer. We didn't know that at the time, of course. And the phone calls, we don't know exactly when they were made to Harry, to William, but certainly within the past few days. And Harry has flown overnight from California to London, landing in the last few minutes at Heathrow Airport from Los Angeles. And he will... we don't know where he's going to be staying, whether he's going to be based in London, whether he's going to be in Windsor. He doesn't have his own residence here in the UK now, but at some point he will be visiting his father.
I'd just like to say at this point that, I applaud what Harry's done. He's done the right thing here. We're used to pouring a bucket all over Harry's head, and some people will still say, oh, he's just doing this to make himself look good. I think we've got to remember, whatever has gone down in the past, this is a son whose father is very, very sick. So let's give him some credit for dropping everything to come over to see his dear old dad.
And I think news like this puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? And at the moment,
it
is
yes.
time to put that rift to one side. The focus is not about what has been said before. The focus now is on the King, his health, the treatment that he's getting, and hopefully a swift recovery for him.
Absolutely.
Just over a week ago, we were discussing how difficult it was for the royal family, given that Kate was in hospital. She was there for 13 days, and then Charles, who was supposed to be in and out quite quickly, stayed a couple of extra days. Well, now we learn that he's probably going to be out of action, understandably, for at least a few months, as is Kate. This is going to be an incredible burden on William especially, who now is going to have to rise up and be, in many respects, the most senior member carrying most of the load.
It is an incredibly challenging time for Prince William, because he had taken some time out to look after his wife and also to look after their 3 children. We were told over the weekend that he was going to be back to work on Wednesday. That's no accident that announcement was made ahead of the news about the King, because they need to have the second in line out there and visible to reassure the public. So he's going to be back to work, dealing with his own private anxiety on 2 fronts about his father and his wife, while also being very mindful of his public duty. Now, interesting that we saw Princess Beatrice visiting Clarence House earlier on today, going there to see her uncle. But given the royals are so thin on the ground, you do have to wonder, could there potentially be a role for her in picking up some of the duties that others might not be able to conduct? But we know that the Queen, Camilla, is carrying on with a full diary of engagements while also supporting her husband. All of the working members of the royal family, there aren't that many, as you say, Alex, at the moment, they are going to carry on with their full diary of engagements. They will pick up other duties, and other things will have to be postponed. And I think for the King, that is incredibly frustrating. He's only 17 months into the job. He's a man with a big plan, and he's had to press pause on it right now.
And about that, I mean, this is a man who's devoted to his duty as the monarch, and it's another indication of how serious his condition is that this guy would never stop working unless it was very, very important that he did so. And so, again, a few words from you, Sarah, on just how devastating this will be for the King at a time when I think he feels he really should be on the throne as the reigning king that we can all see and enjoy.
You know, less than a year and a half into the job, and it has been such a tumultuous time. The death of Prince Philip, the death of the Queen, the scandals around Andrew and Harry, for example. 2024 was supposed to be the year to put duty first, to get on with the job and actually really focus on the business of monarchy, and that has all been put to one side now. Look, he is still going to be working. There's no way he's giving up the work. He's still doing his state duties. The red boxes, the prime ministerial audiences, the Privy Council meetings, for example. But he won't be out there shaking hands with the public. And I think he's already expressed a great deal of regret for those that he's going to let down by having to cancel or postpone those engagements.
Of course, all eyes are going to be on Harry now, and the question of how long he might end up staying. He's come to see his father now, whether he might prolong his stay to be there by his father's side through that treatment, whether he might end up asking his wife and his children to come over.
I mean, I think we're a long way off kind of seeing Harry and Meghan back as kind of working members of the royal family or taking up any duties. But I think absolutely you are right, Kevin, that Harry has done the right thing. He's come here at the soonest possible opportunity to see his father. And actually, it's going to be the first meaningful face-to-face contact they've had in a very, very long time. You know, he was here for the coronation, but that was a fleeting visit and the King was otherwise engaged. He was back here in September for the Invictus Games. He didn't get to see his father then. So this face-to-face meeting will be really significant. And of course, it comes because of devastating news for all the family. We know the King is wholly positive about this. We're told that he's doing well. But, you know, it will have come as a huge shock to them. And not least to Harry, finding himself the other side of the Atlantic, he will have felt a long way away.
I mean, again, I'm going to stick up for Meghan here because she's let it be known that she's staying in California to look after the kids. Some people say, well, you know, the King dropped everything to walk her down the aisle. She can't even come and see him. Well, I just think you people are mothers, not Alex, I'm not a father, but you know, I think there are certain scenarios you don't take young kids into, and a guy, you know, battling cancer, a family drama like that, I think I support Meghan staying back.
Well, I think it's entirely right that Harry comes on his own to visit his father at this time. And look, we can't be praising William for dropping everything to look after his children while then criticising Meghan for staying in California to look after hers. We can't praise Kate for staying behind to look after the children when the Queen died because they'd just started school, and then again criticise Meghan for the same thing. There are double standards often at play here. Also,
a few words to go back to what Alex was mentioning. I mean, a lot of speculation now that, you know, this feud that William and Harry have been having, you know, you look at the details, frankly, you know which side most of us are on. William's got, he's got a lot of reasons to be angry with his brother. The veiled attacks on his wife, the unveiled attacks on the Queen, accusing the royal family of being racist, absolute nonsense. So this is why William has been so bitter about any idea of reconciliation with his brother. But these kind of events, they do have a habit of putting such matters into perspective.
And no one else understands what William is going through right now, other than Harry. You know, these are brothers who lost their mother at a young age. They're now dealing with the diagnosis of their father having cancer. They were once close. We know for some time now that relationship has been under great strain, and you've documented why, Kevin. But I wonder with the Princess of Wales in hospital as well, whether that might have made Harry reflect on some of the things that have been said, because they too were extremely close at one point, the sister he'd never had.
It's funny, we were saying earlier, weren't we, that in all of the scenarios, if someone had a tragedy in their family or something like this, then you'd get compassionate leave, and as royals, it's kind of the opposite. You have even more duties and sometimes promotions that you don't really want.
Yes, and certainly we're going to be seeing the Queen having to take on a lot of responsibilities, William stepping up at a really difficult time, and the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh as well. I mean, they've already got pretty busy diaries, so they're taking on more. But as I say, the royal family was already pretty slim on the ground. That slimmed down monarchy had already happened by default, and now we're really seeing that played out.
I think something else that comes to mind as well is, you know, we forget, don't we, in the United Kingdom, that the King is the head of state in 14 other nations. And as all the tributes flood in from around the world, you realise that this is a huge global event. It's not just for the British people to say, this is our monarch, he's unwell, but it captures headlines around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Australian television this morning. American news networks are covering it all over the world. This has been a major, major story. That shock headline yesterday that the King has cancer has reverberated around the world.